Welcome everyone to the Dr. Abs Healthcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brian Abasolo, aka Dr. Abs, and on today's show we have Camille Martin. Camille is a registered dietitian, public health writer, and former chronic dieter dedicated to helping women quit dieting, set bigger and better goals, reclaim their excitement for life, and lose weight in the process. She spent nearly 25 years of her life on a diet, and she's passionate about showing women how to break free from the downward dieting spiral of failure and improve their relationship with food, as well as change their destructive habits and negative thought patterns and lose weight without dieting. Her book, Love to Lose, Love Your Life, and Watch the Weight Lose Itself, is out now. Definitely get your hands on it, guys. I'm really excited about talking to Camille, so let's bring her on, Camille Martin. Welcome to the show, Camille. How you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me, Brian.
Great to have you. Such a pleasure. I'm very interested to speak to you today because you are a registered dietitian and a public health writer. So today I want to talk all about food, health, and I just want to learn how you can help people out there with this podcast. So I want to first get a little background on you. You claim to be a former chronic dieter. And now you're basically turning to helping women with dieting. So can you just give us a little bit of background on your history with dieting?
Yes. Well, I mean, it's a very long story that I could go on for days about, but I'll try to keep it short. I started dieting when I was about 12. So, at a very young age. It's crazy, but the people around me were not saying, you need to lose weight or anything like that. But it was the messages that I just absorbed from the women around me and the men too, that what I looked like was most important. So out of the just typical feelings of loneliness and not fitting in growing up that most people have, I started to use food as an emotional, a way to cope. So I started gaining a little bit of weight and then getting all these messages about how diets, I needed to diet and lose weight, locked me in this terrible cycle of eating to feel better, gaining weight, and then trying to diet off the weight. So, unfortunately, that I stayed in that cycle for quite a long time, for almost 25 years. So, it was very destructive to my self-esteem. And it took me along a painful journey of, an eating disorder. And it was a long time, and I finally managed to get out of it, which was a total blessing. So
what was, if I may ask, like, what do you feel was your darkest time during those years?
Probably in college, because in high school, you have your structure of being around your family and school. And then I went off to college, and quite honestly, I just went off the rails. I was a straight A student and very, studious and very together and very organized. And then I went to college and I felt like I just had no grounding. And on top of all of the typical self-esteem issues that kids have, combined with that lack of support, I started binge drinking and was doing drugs and almost failed out of school, which was the complete opposite of who I am and who I was as a person. But the darkest time disorder, which came.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. No. Now we're good again. Something happened with my mic. I'm sorry. You were saying the darkest time was.
That's okay. So probably the hardest time was the eating disorder, which I was bulimic, and it was just rampant, and that really wrecked my self-esteem. So that was really probably the worst time. Yeah.
And when do you feel like you started to turn a corner and, better days ahead?
Yeah, well, that happened when I was out of college in my first job in Atlanta, Georgia. I was continuing with all of my crazy behaviors of, trying not to eat, starving myself, binge eating, binging and purging. And finally, I got to a point where I was crying, sitting on my couch. I remember it. And just saying, I can't do this anymore. I just can't keep inflicting this misery, this mental torture on myself, and I decided to quit. I quit dieting. I decided to quit making myself starve or eat healthy or try not to do certain things or do a 5-mile dead sprint for a workout. It was this constant thing in my mind. It was sort of taking over. So I decided to quit, and ironically, everything stabilized after I did
Really?
that. So yeah.
Was there anybody like in your corner helping you out during that time? Like, or was
No.
this all self-will and
No, it was just me, my sad self trying to sort it all out. I mean, I think honestly, a lot of my friends, we all go through these same kinds
yeah,
of, insecurities and stuff, but mine was particularly tied to my eating and
yeah,
my relentless desire to have the perfect body and look perfect and be perfect. So,
yeah.
yeah,
Wow, it's a powerful story. Well, I
yeah.
commend you for, making it through that tough time in your life.
Thank
And,
you.
I applaud you for that. 'Cause I
Thank
know
you.
it can't be easy. Um, so let's get into health, wellness, dieting. So the word
Yeah.
diet,
Hmm.
right? Can you tell us exactly, you being a dietitian, why quote unquote diets don't work?
Yes, I would love to tell you why they don't work. They're all about resistance. So everything about dieting, it's about cutting out, eliminating, getting rid of, even dieting to lose weight. It's all a negative focus.
Hmm.
But they also don't work just from a structural standpoint, because you have to make like all of these huge changes all at the same time, and then you have to do it in a very short amount of time, and that's not sustainable. So
Yeah.
you're building up all this resistance, and then on top of that, you're focused directly on the thing that you hate most about yourself. So you're dieting to lose the weight, and you're focused on it. So if you eat emotionally, which I did, and I think a lot of people do, you eat to make yourself feel better. So when you feel all of that resistance that dieting brings in, you eat to make yourself feel better. So ironically, dieting pushes you to do the very thing that you're trying to fix. So it's just a never-ending cycle. Then you fail, you give up, you fail, you gain weight, and then you start all over again. So
It's like
yeah.
the yo-yo effect.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so what do you suggest for people out there to not go through that cycle?
Well, it's easier said than done. What I did was I just quit. I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. But it's hard psychologically for women and men to get their heads around that, because we're so conditioned to diet to fix ourselves. But if you just say, dieting just involves all of this craziness around food. I mean, and it's just food. I think we all know what to eat. You know what I mean? We've got all these crazy conflicting messages about this works better than this and that doesn't work. And so if you just truly for a couple of weeks, just say, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to take all of this stress and anxiety off of myself and just drop it and see what happens. We're
Yeah.
also afraid we're going to gain all this weight. And I was too, but ironically, just all that stress of dieting and the whole thing that goes with it, if you just decide for at least a week or two, I'm not going to do anything, I'm just going to focus on how I feel and what I'm thinking and notice all of that, and that will sort of help you start to get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you suggest maybe people write things down?
Oh yeah.
Like a
Yeah,
journal, like about that
definitely.
emotional eating?
Yes, oh, definitely. Because I think what a lot of people do is they binge eat, and they go right from binging straight into shaming themselves.
Mm,
And then there's this whole like middle point where we're not noticing what we're even thinking or while we're eating the food. And you are having all of these thoughts, but we just skip right by them, and don't use them to analyze it and try to make changes in the way that we're thinking. But yeah, I know most of the people that I work with, when I say get a journal and start, writing it, I can see their eyes glaze over. Nobody wants to get a journal out and start writing it down, but it really does.
it
It really does
helps.
a
I,
lot.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So obviously a lot of us, we set this target goal weight that we want to get down to. So how
Right.
does setting a big goal help you lose that weight?
Oh, okay. Well, so yeah, when I say set a big goal, I definitely don't mean pick a goal weight and set that and try to go after achieving it. What I mean is set a goal that has nothing to do with losing weight or what you look like. Because when you're trying to lose weight, you're only focused on what you look like and what you don't
Mhm.
like about yourself. But if you set a bigger goal, like, I want to run a marathon or I want to learn to speak a foreign language, and you slowly start working toward that, it shifts all of your attention onto something positive that you're creating in your life. So that not only does it build your self-esteem, but you are too busy to sit around thinking about, like, okay, I've got 3 hours until I'm supposed to eat again. I'm going to try not to eat. All that whole crazy conversation just sort of evaporates, and it slowly builds your self-esteem back up, little by little, by ticking off one little step after another to get to a better goal. Yeah.
No, I love that. You basically shift the focus off of the food, shift it off to, something productive, something that's going to make you feel good about yourself and your
Yeah,
self-esteem. So I love that
exactly.
concept. Now, you say in your book that it's not about the weight. Can you
Mhm.
explain what you mean about that?
Yes, weight is a symptom. So anything that you feel on the inside is going to show up outwardly. Um, yeah, so it's just a delayed reaction there. Like you're feeling all of these feelings of inadequacy or things that you don't like about yourself, and then you're using food to neutralize all of that pain, and then the weight starts showing up. So, yeah, whatever you see on the outside is a direct result of what you're thinking and feeling on the inside. So the problem really is the way that you eat. Your weight is not the problem, it's a symptom. The way you eat is the true problem. And when you can start adjusting the way that you eat and really remedying that, then food takes care of itself. You're going to change the way that you eat, and then the weight is going to stop showing up. So it's really just a symptom, it's not the problem.
Yes, totally agree with you there. What is your philosophy on food in terms of, obviously there's so many diets out there, keto, paleo,
Oh,
vegetarian,
God.
vegan. I mean,
Yeah.
are you kind of like all over the board, like just healthy foods in general, whole foods, natural, organic? What's your
Well,
philosophy?
I don't ever want to put what I believe onto anybody else. I'm a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian for 25 years. But everything, it's all, a lot of what we eat, we're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. I mean, like it's a one size fits all. So my life is different than your life.
Yeah.
Your food preferences are different from mine. In general, as I always say, and I'm not trying to sound like, oh, it's so easy, but we know what to eat. I mean, if you stay away from highly saturated fatty foods and, sugary, donuts and candy and all of that crap and ice cream, we know that's not healthy. You can eat it sometimes, but just focus on whole grains, focus on fruits and vegetables, go to the store and just stay in the produce section for, most of the time. And really, it really is that simple. I think we
Yeah.
overcomplicate it. And to me, I think there's good about every diet. There are good things about it. The great things that there's great things about the people who come up with them. I'm not bashing anybody, but
Yeah.
honestly, Whole 30, eat right for your blood type, all of these things, they might have some elements of great things in them, but just stop the insanity, and it's just food.
I love what you said. You talk about, shopping the produce or
Yeah.
in that area. I always say shop on the perimeter of the supermarket because everything in the
Yes.
middle, down the
Yeah.
aisles, it's, in boxes
It's
and,
crap.
that's where you get all
Yeah,
that processed food from.
exactly.
Um, Now, you talked earlier about specifically women and their self-esteem. How is
Yes.
dieting related to a woman's self-esteem?
Oh gosh. Well, how it's related is that because diets don't work and because we keep desperately looking for the one that does, there isn't one that does work. That's the magical diet that works for every single person.
Yeah.
Because we keep searching for it and failing because they don't work, we tend to take the failure on as we are a failure rather than maybe this diet is not the one for me and it failed me. We are the failure. And so the longer you stay in the diet cycle, the failure, dieting over and over again and failing over and over again, your self-esteem starts to get chipped away at. And if you do it for years on end, I mean, pretty soon you feel like, well, why would I set a big goal? I can't even lose 10 pounds, so it's a snowball effect over years and years of it just destroys your self-esteem and wrecks it. And it's not you, it's a flawed method of trying to attain a goal that's really a meaningless goal, losing weight. I mean, you need to be focused on something entirely different that builds your self-esteem. So yeah, dieting wrecks your self-esteem.
Yeah. And so you're a dietitian. So somebody comes to you for help. Like, can you briefly describe your protocol and how you approach each individual patient?
Yes. So what I do is I first explain that it's not about the food, it's about the way you eat, and get them on board, try, to understand that piece of it. But in order to actually change your body and lose the weight that you want to lose, and I know people want to lose it, I get it, that's not a bad thing. What you want to do instead is focus on your habits and your thoughts. And when you make tiny changes to the habits that you feel are most interfering with your weight loss, I tell them to pick the top 3 to 5, start with the easiest one, and then make a huge list, of 10 or 15 tiny changes that you could make to that habit, and start with that one the first week. And the first thing is engage fully in that bad habit so you can notice what you're actually feeling. Like, don't bash yourself. Do it. Make a huge bowl of ice cream, go sit in front of Netflix, eat it, write down, like, how do you feel? And 9 times out of 10, you notice, oh, you know what? This makes me feel like crap.
Good initially, maybe, but after the
fact,
well,
not forever, but
after the fact, no.
No. But the point is, though, is that we're not noticing. We feel like it's an impulse, and it's really not. So notice the thoughts, make tiny changes, and those two start to feed off each other. And then you take the next habit that might be the easiest for you to change. That way you're getting small wins, and pretty soon, yeah.
And what have you noticed in most of the patients that you work with? Like, what are some of the habits that you continuously see?
Yes. Okay. Well, that's one of them. Usually it's binge eating. It's, or not necessarily binge eating, but I eat a snack, throughout the day. I eat when I'm stressed out. I eat when I'm bored. I'm eating, ice cream. I love sweets, this kind of thing. And I know, because I used to be the same way, and I still have to work with those urges that I have. But yeah, so I'm sorry, I lost your question for a second.
Oh, the habits. Like, what habits do you continuously see in the patients that you work with?
Okay, so that's it, is usually binge eating or emotional eating. Some of them are saying, I don't get enough exercise, or I need to drink more water. It's pretty typical, but most people don't come to me and say, I want to get the exact eating plan that will give me all of these nutrients. It's mostly habits that make them feel shame,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So. And you mentioned exercise. Obviously, water consumption is important. What do you usually recommend your clients who are overweight, they're looking to trim down and get healthier, besides the diet portion of it? Right. What do you say as far as exercise?
Well, first, to be consistent, find something that you love and be consistent with it. And
very important.
Don't beat yourself up when I think mostly is, don't set these huge, like, I'm going to run 5 miles every morning and I'm going to burn 750 calories a day on the treadmill, or I'm going to, lift weights 5 times a week. These kinds of, like, I really want to do it, I'm committed now, but these almost overachiever, balls to the wall goals, where it's like, start smaller, be consistent. And if it's not working out what you're doing, it's okay, change it. But mostly pick something that you love, even if it's walking, and you can eventually start building up where you really are walking faster or farther. And then you might start jogging a little bit.
Yeah. No, I love that you say that, because I feel like a lot of people, whether it's summer and, it's bathing suit season, or the beginning of the new year, people they go from 0 to 100
Yes.
real
Yes.
quick, and it's just a recipe for failure and burnout. But
Totally.
the fact that you are talking about building small habits little by
Yeah.
little, like work yourself up so you could actually sustain it long term. I love
Right.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the environment. Can you talk to us about the importance of your environment when you're losing weight?
Yes, your environment is so critical because it affects everything that you do, but you're not noticing it.
Mm,
Usually we're in the same environment, your kitchen, your dining room, your living room, and you're not paying attention because you're so used to being in it. But every single thing about your environment, the way it's set up, the things that you have out on the counter in your kitchen specifically, if you open up your refrigerator and it's shoved full of stuff and you can't even get to the back of it, these things are all highly important because they're pushing you to make decisions, and it's split second and it feels like, but what you do is you're blaming yourself, like, I just can't eat healthy, I hate to cook. Well, how do you even know if you can't even find the utensils that you can use to actually make a meal? It's going
yeah.
to be overwhelming and stressful. So yeah, I don't know if you know who James Clear is. I love him.
James Clear sounds very familiar.
Yeah, he has a book called Atomic Habits, which is just amazing.
Mm,
But he talks a lot about environment, and he has a quote that always sticks with me. Environment is the invisible hand that shapes human behavior. And it's so true.
yeah,
So it's always
absolutely.
working, whether you know it or not. So you might as well use it to your advantage.
So I had written an ebook a while back, but one of my first uh, things that I suggested in my ebook was talking about cleaning out your pantry, your fridge, and setting up that environment for
Yes.
success. Because obviously, if you don't have the donuts and the ice cream and the cookies there at
Mhm.
your disposal, you can't eat them, right? Or at least there's a
Right.
better chance. Maybe you could still go out to the supermarket and get them, but if they're not there in the moment when you're hungry, and instead you have nutritious whole foods
Mhm.
and you know where your utensils are, you're going to be
Yeah.
able to make a better you're going to be able to make a better nutritional decision. So I
Yes.
love that you say that environment is so important, and I
Well, and
love that.
even though, like, for me, I have two kids and they love to eat, some of the unhealthier stuff. And I buy it for them because my goal is to get them to start making healthy choices by watching me. And sometimes it works, sometimes not. But if you do have those unhealthy foods and just simply are putting them away out of sight, there are a bunch of studies, but it's something like it increases your likelihood of abstaining from eating them just by putting them in a drawer and you can't see them by,
Yeah,
50%. So
yeah,
yeah.
no, absolutely. And what just curious, what's your kids healthy, or excuse me, guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure, singular. It's a bunch of them. I feel like I'm going to get hate mail, but
No, hey, listen, it's real life.
it is real
You're
life.
teaching them
Well,
from a young age.
oh my God. Well, so they really do. Let me start off with the positives. I eat, vegetables. I steam, broccoli and bake eggplant. And, I don't make them eat it, but now that they're older, they eat it with me now. And they're like, this is really good.
They don't
But
fight you
they
on it
do,
anymore.
huh?
They don't fight you on it
No,
anymore.
they don't fight me. I never forced them to, but now they're starting to model me. But oh my God, they drink Coke. My little one loves Coke. And
Mm,
I confess, I buy it for her. And my goal right now is working with her saying, this is totally unhealthy. Here's how it affects your body. It's spiking your blood. You're going to insulin crash, whatever. And then you're going to be exhausted and you can't focus at school. And she's like, okay. And it's sinking in, but and we talk about how much better water is, but she
yeah.
still drinks Cokes, and they like pizza and they like all the typical stuff.
Women.
Gotcha.
Women.
So I want to finish off with, like, what advice somebody out there, specifically the
Women out there.
Yeah.
that are struggling with their weight, maybe going through something similar to what you went through in past years. What do you say to them? Like, how can we help them get out of the rut that they're in?
Um Yeah, I would say the very first thing is to just stop everything you're doing, the dieting, the obsessing, counting calories. Just let that whole conversation just evaporate. And it really is as simple as waking up tomorrow. It's such a relief. It's actually not hard. Wake up tomorrow and just say, I'm not doing this anymore. And take a break from it. Go for a walk outside, get outside in nature, breathe deeply, do a meditation if that's what you need to do, or walk your dogs or whatever, but just stop really. And not even seeing it as stopping, but today is the day that I'm going to start over. It's a brand new day, a brand new life, and just change your whole outlook. That's what I would say. That's the starting point of any change. Yeah.
So overall, it's like a shift in your focus.
Yeah, totally. Yes.
Love that. Yeah. Love that. So Camille, how can people reach out to you if they need any assistance? Like, please, take the platform and explain to everybody, your handles on social media, where they could find you, your website.
Yes, great. So my website is CamilleMartinRD.com. And you can find me there. I have a book that is talking about all of these things. It's called Love to Lose, Love Your Life and Let the Weight Lose Itself. And my email is on my website, and I would love it. I'm always happy to answer any questions. So I think my Instagram handle is Camille_Martin_RD. So it's any version of that, Camille Martin RD. I think that's just my Facebook one. I'm a social media. I'm new to it. My kids make fun of me, so
they got to teach you the ropes.
Yeah, I can't remember everything, but yeah, go to my website and it's all on there. And I would love to hear from people. Truly, it makes me happy.
Absolutely. So it's CamilleMartinRD.com.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, Camille, thank you so much for being on the show today. I love your story, and I love, how much you're helping so many women out there, get healthy again. And I truly appreciate your work.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been so much fun. I really appreciate it.
All right. Take care, Camille. Have a good one.
Okay, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.